Hello YouTube. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about how to make FM donks. It's a very simple sound, but when done right, it can be very effective and very satisfying to listen to. With no further ado, let's get right into it. So I've got myself a work in progress Psytech idea here that we're going to use as context to make our FM donk. And the sound that I'm talking about is this kind of FM sound here. So really satisfying sounds. And every time you make one of these, it's going to be different because there's going to be subtle differences in all the parameters. Even if it's just by 1% on a certain parameter, it's just going to be a slightly different sound every time, which is fantastic. It's what you want. You know, you don't really want to create the same sound every single time. So let's just have a listen to this context, then let's make the sound. So that's what we're working with. And now let's just make this sound. So I'm going to place a MIDI note here. Let's just go with D sharp because that's what key our track is in. Open up the patch. Now to make an FM donk, set both of our waveforms to sine waves. We'll bring the random phase to 0 so we have a nice consistent sound. And then we're just going to go FM from B, and then I'm going to turn the level of oscillator B down because it's just a modulator. And then I'm going to assign a LFO on envelope mode onto the volume of the main oscillator. So now we just got a nice hit. And then if I bring up the FM, nice. The way that you get different results out of this sound is playing with the FM amount, playing with the octave of the modulator, and we can also use the old Serum FM by going phase distortion from B, and this is a much softer result. So often much more practical for this kind of sound. So for now, I'm just going to stick with the phase distortion. If we want this sound to have a bit more movement in it, we can assign a LFO onto the FM amount. If you have too much though, it's going to sound very destroyed. But if you have just a subtle amount, then you can get quite a nice bit of variation over time. It also helps it get a bit more pluckiness in the sound as well. But there's also another way that we can reduce the amount of FM over time. This way is a lot cleaner as well. So we can go into our wavetable editor, and I'm just going to remove all except selected because I just want this sine wave. And then I'll clone the sine and remove the harmonic. So we've just got complete silence. Then I'm going to go onto the wavetable position and I'm going to go smooth interpolation. That way I can go from having full volume to 0 and I can assign that onto our envelope. And then I'm going to have that be the opposite way around. So we have full volume at the beginning. And then I'm going to remove the FM modulation. And I'm going to have it so the volume of our modulator stays open for longer. That sounds very nice. Liking that. So it's up to you whether you want to do volume modulation to reduce the FM over time or attach an LFO directly onto the FM or a combination of both. And then you'll also get different results if you're using the actual FM or the phase distortion. So just play around with it and see what gets you the best results. With the FM, you get more of a sharp sound, and you definitely need substantially less FM to get that sweet spot where it sounds nice and round. And the Phase distortion is just going to get you a much softer sound and therefore allow you to go higher up in the values. About there is going to do it for now. If it still has too many overtones for you, you can just close off a filter to remove those higher frequencies towards the tail end. Let's try this. Nice. So without the filter, a bit more higher frequencies in the tail, but with it. And if I make it a steeper filter, can make that nice and tight. Then just playing with the shape here. I'm going to give a bit of drive to this filter, not much, but enough to just warm it up a little bit. And then I might add a little bit more distortion on the post-processing side of things. Something really gentle, like soft clip. And you don't need much of it at all. What I'm going to do now is just attach a little equalizer onto this and attach it to the gain of this high shelf. That way I can bring out the high end for that very first bit and pick the frequency of where I want that shelf to begin. I might put that before the distortion. Sounds pretty good to me. And that's pretty much a finished sound. All we need to do is just add a bit of reverb to this and place it in context. It's a very straightforward sound, but it's really all about the values here and the envelopes of everything to get a nice shape going for it. So yeah, I'll just bring it out a little bit more with some compression and then just add the reverb onto it. Bit less distortion. Let's go in a mixer. I'm going to go 19, open this up and just go donk. Get an EQ because we won't be needing the very lowest frequencies from it. Get a Valhalla room for some reverb, and I'm just going to go Dark Cathedral and just reduce the length, the pre-delay, the mix, and bring the high cut up to 400 and something, why not? Maybe a bit lower. Right, now to place it in context, with these kinds of one-shots, I've found that it's usually a much stronger positioning to put it on the offbeat somewhere, as opposed to the 16th groove points, because the hierarchy of rhythmic value goes on beat, right? The kick, the downbeat, whatever you want to call it. That's the strongest, and then the offbeat is the second in command. So if you gravitate towards the offbeat, your music will end up having a much stronger groove and therefore encourage more dancing to take place, which is the idea behind all this. So let's just hear it on this offbeat over here. The sound is getting very buried here because it's not got many overtones. So I'm going to just put it up an octave and see if that fits better. Maybe you might add a bit more distortion. Nice, sounds good. And then I might saturate this once again in the post-processing with some wave shaping. let's place this here and see what we get. Might give it a bit more highs in this EQ. Excellent. That sounds really nice, especially in context with the rest of the elements in this track. I think it fits really well. But yeah, if you need more juice out of this sound, then what you can do is go back into the patch and just tweak the FM values in context and see if you can't get a bit more out of it. Oh, in this case, that is fantastic. So that'll do it for this video. Hopefully you got a new sound that you can add to your arsenal now. If you want to support the channel, you know what to do, and I'll see you on the next video.